Let's talk spoilers.
Okay.
Let's talk spoilers. Can we just talk about the freaking beach scene, dude? Oh my gosh. Just right from the get-go.
Yeah, so this is like 3 minutes in, and we're talking, quick pacing. Let's get to the part where we just kill, 10 people?
A whole team.
Right from the beginning. First of all, Savant just kills a bird, and the whole audience just went, and I was like, that's the type of movie we're going to be watching, people. You better buckle that seatbelt. But no. Weasel drowning.
Yes.
Drowning. It killed me right off the bat. I don't think anybody would have guessed that.
Nope.
You'd just be like, yeah, they're going to go to the beach and a lot of people are going to die. No, he literally jumps off the plane and drowns.
Before they even get to the beach, they've lost one because no one checked if Weasel could swim.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
That's
also,
how you set up.
Weasel's screaming and stuff just kept cracking me up. Every time he makes a noise, I laugh.
Dude,
his
bug eyes.
I looked it up. Weasel is a real character.
He is, yeah.
Fury of Firestorm, issue 36 from 1985.
Wow.
First appearance of Weasel.
I also love the fact that Pete Davidson's Blackguard, who's like all decked out in guns and stuff, doesn't get to fire a shot.
Mm-hmm.
He sells them out, which is maybe actually part of the plan.
Who knows?
And
that was his part of the mission. Waller's like, hey, call these guys.
Right? Like, I could
totally see
Waller
that
doing that.
Yeah.
And he just gets his face blown off. Love it.
And blown off. Gone. His face, blood. It's gross. I loved it.
He was very funny in his short time in the movie, though.
Yeah, I thought he did well.
Yep. Who dies next?
So you get Weasel, you get Blackguard, then you get
Detachable Kid, TDK.
Mongal.
I think Mongal.
Oh, but he takes his arms off and does nothing.
Yeah, Detachable Kid does do some slappies.
Yeah, and then Mongal
Mongal
takes
with
down
the helicopter.
And this is
at the same time, Boomerang.
This was one of the saddest parts of the movie for me.
You got attached to Boomer, didn't you?
He's a staple of the Suicide Squad in the comics.
Yep.
So I was really hoping he was somehow gonna make it through, and I actually was hoping it would have been impossible. But if instead of Weasel not drowning at the end, it was Boomer somehow made it out.
Oh yeah, that would not be possible.
But yeah, he gets absolutely shredded by tree, wood, shrapnel, and blown to smithereens.
And a helicopter blade.
It looked good.
It looked fantastic.
Yeah. I also loved his glowy boomerangs.
Got the dude.
Oh man, those were sick.
Dude's head in half. That was nuts.
And then we get
Javelin. Just gets shot.
Yeah.
His death sucked, but he also it makes sense because he had to have the moment with Harley.
Yeah.
If he gets his head blown off, he can't tell Harley. Carry the javelin for.
And then finally,
for what?
There's Savant.
Yep.
Who
he got the classic head detonation.
I'm glad Waller got to do that once.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was it worked great in my opinion.
And the bird got its revenge.
And the bird got its the birds,
the little finch.
Yes, the finches. The species got its revenge.
And then it also shows us the first super dope little title card thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
with his blood spelling out Warner Brothers Presents. And I was like, oh man, that's cool.
And I loved the opening credits. The song that played, after listening to it, wow, that's an intense song.
Oh, yeah? I don't know if I really pay attention to the lyrics.
You should read the lyrics.
Okay.
It's kind of
Is it Folsom Prison Blues?
No, it's People Who Died. When it's spinning around and showing all the dead bodies.
So that is maybe one of my only cinematography cons of this movie.
Just
too much spinning.
Camera was moving around like crazy.
I assume he just was like, here, DP, go run and do some things on the beach scene while we've got the dead people,
I guess I didn't mind it because it just matched the tempo of the music.
It was a little nauseating for me for whatever. Maybe I'm getting old.
Yeah, but that song
stomached.
is intense.
A good song.
If you look at the lyrics, like if you're watching the subtitles, the lyrics will be part of the subtitles.
Okay.
And pay attention to what they're singing. It's oh my gosh.
I'm reading them right now. This is a lot.
So we did not have Harley gets captured there, and Rick Flag
gets also captured.
Gets captured.
He gets saved.
Then we do the little cutback. Sorry, we're not going to walk through this movie one by one.
Yeah.
But beat by beat. But then we do go back to the other team and we realize, this has been a distraction. One of the things that I think this movie could have done a better job at. I say could have done a better job. One of the things I personally would have preferred, I think, is if we had one or two more of those beach characters survive and lost them in the second act. We don't really get any deaths in the second act from the squad itself. And I think that would have maybe made me feel a little more uneasy about certain characters going into the third act. I thought the third act worked fine. It was weird better than 2016 Suicide Squad, where we only get
you have
two members die. One of them is they're both in the third act, and
who's the other one?
Diablo sacrifices himself.
Who's the other one?
Slipknot.
Oh, I thought you said they were both in the third act. Never. I'm sorry, I just missed.
Isn't Slipknot the beginning of the third act?
It's like at the
Slipknot's
beginning
like the very beginning.
30 minutes in.
Oh, is it really?
The very beginning of the mission.
I haven't watched that movie in a while. Sorry.
Nope, nobody's gonna blame you.
Yeah.
Okay. In any case, I think it was overall better because there was way more. But I think I would have liked a little more sprinkled in just to up the. To me, I think that would have upped the ante. I don't know. Maybe it would have made it feel like.
I think of it the opposite.
Yeah.
I think of it the opposite. I think of it if you'd have done it in the second act, you kind of just expect it now. Whereas because in the first act it's like we're gonna kill a ton of characters right away, and so then you go into the second act and you're like, who's dying next and when?
And we don't ever.
Whereas
get any
if
in the second,
and then they don't, and you're like, oh, okay, well maybe this is the crew that's safe, and then the third act happens, and once again a bunch of people start dying, and you're like, oh nope, no one's safe again. I don't know who's gonna make it out of this movie.
Somehow.
And I think that's why it works.
It certainly does work.
I agree with both of you.
More of a nitpick, probably.
I agree with both of you.
Maybe it could work either way.
Can we talk about the scene where you almost died?
I think it could.
Where I almost died?
Where you almost died?
Yes.
You're talking about the rebel camp, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yes, Rick Flag
that scene is hilarious.
Gets pinged on the computers. Hey, he's been captured. And Bloodsport and Peacemaker. Apex Legends has a shotgun called the Peacekeeper. So I get them mixed up because I'm an idiot.
Strike 2.
I know. Strike 3 and I'm off the podcast. But yeah, their little back and forth of how are we gonna up the ante on killing the.
They're just measuring each other's dicks, trying to out kill these people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty gruesome. And King Shark gets to eat that dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
And you're laughing all the way through it because I didn't upon first viewing, I didn't necessarily process that they were the rebels.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they were, enemy soldiers. And then the reveal happens where it's Rick just sitting there drinking tea. And he's like, this is so-and-so leader of the resistance. And then it becomes somehow more terrifying and more horrible and more funny.
You're just like, oh my gosh. There was
Why
an
did
article.
my guards not stop you?
There was an article today where James Gunn was like,
we didn't see anyone.
we might have went a little far with that one. I'm really surprised Warner Bros. Let me put that in there.
That scene is fantastic.
It was one of the highlights for me.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Really, probably 4 or 5 main action sequences. I feel like they're all just top notch.
Yeah, they were all really well
they're
done.
All really good.
And they're all very different, too.
Yeah. Like, the next one was Harley's escape. When she shoots that dude.
Oh. Dude, Harley's escape. Great. I didn't expect Harley to have...
Probably my favorite song choice, too.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah. I didn't expect Harley to have as big of a role in this. Obviously, from the trailers, we kind of figured she was probably going to make it to the end. You know, whether she dies in the final one or not, it is pretty safe to say she wasn't. But
dude, I was actually kind of worried.
The fact that she got her own breakout scene, amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I loved it.
It was so well done, and one of the big complaints I always have, and I feel like a lot of movies where it's one person on multiple people, is they have guns and they're not using them. Mm-hmm. In this bit, for a lot of it, she's catching them by surprise. Then they don't have guns. Then she has machine guns when they have guns. And then when she eventually gets the javelin back, which first of all, loved that bit through the movie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They are shooting guns at her, and she's just dodging and missing. I just really appreciated that. Most of the time, they're like, I'm not going to shoot my gun, I'm just going to run at you. They do, I will say.
They do the little, like, I'm going to move around.
Yeah.
Without firing.
I will say, it's still in there. I noticed it. Mm-hmm. But this is just such an improvement.
Even the scene we were just talking about in the jungle with the rebels, there's, like, a camera shot where...
There's people on fire. There's nobody's noticing.
Like, just, like, burn someone alive, and the camera turns, and there's 3 guys just standing there. And then he's like... I was like... That's fine. It's the yeah. It works because it's so funny.
I think that Harley scene is a nod to what will be happening next with James Gunn in DC.
Oh,
Harley movie?
I think he's doing judging by everything he's saying press-wise, I think that's what he wants to do. I think he wants the Harley movie. He says Margot is his favorite actor/actress he's ever worked with.
Yeah,
I think he wants that.
And Harley's one of his favorite characters he's ever written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely think he wants that.
I guess we talked about her action sequence, but I even thought just this version of Harley, I think it's the best one so far.
We got a nice emotional continuation because I feel like if Birds of Prey was this like breakup, like in reaction to like her breaking up from the Joker, this is her like almost a rebound.
Yeah.
To like, oh, I'm gonna flirt with Javelin, and then like I'm gonna have a one night stand with this guy.
Shoot him.
He's like a king. Oh, red flag, boom.
I loved it.
That was a great sequence too.
And then she processes like her taste in men and kind of like realizes that like maybe this isn't what I should be doing. Like I agree, it's a great continuation of her story.
I do, and I think it sets up nice for a Harley Quinn Poison Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even in her action sequence with the blood flowers, and when she just decides to shoot the guy when he's like, "Yeah, I'm a bad guy. I like to kill men and women." And children is the red flag.
Yeah.
You kind of remember, and I saw this, I think it was a Rotten Tomatoes interview when they were talking to her. She's like, yeah, she's crazy. There's this one little thing that will set her off into killing like 100 people. Yeah. And you don't know what it's going to be. She's psychotic, and it set her off, and it's fantastic. Also, that her stunt, I don't know if anybody has seen, where she puts the key in. That's actually her. She actually did that.
That's crazy.
That's insane. The heck, I think she did all of her own stunts too.
She has been doing most of them. I think across movies.
She's the next Tom Cruise.
Yeah. What did you guys think of now that we're narratively talking about being in the city? Peter Capelli as Thinker.
I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, I enjoyed him a lot.
I think a minor role, like you were talking about, that was executed really, really well.
He knew the assignment.
Yep.
And he delivered.
He showed up for it.
Yeah, he did a really good job.
Yep.
Do you
also
do you want a hungry rat climbing in your butthole? Oh, you might be surprised by that answer.
Oh, so good, so good.
It also felt almost a little cathartic in today's age to like watch him get torn apart by Staro. Like what he's saying is like I know I crossed the line. It's that like, but in like the real world, people say that and they just get off. Like they get off scot-free because of money and power and like to hear an abuser say that and then just be like,
yeah,
it's kind of cathartic for me. I don't know.
It was a different type version of Staro and very nerfed version, and it worked so good. Usually Staro is just an alien trying to fight the Justice League, take over the world to
conquer.
But the heck, I actually sympathized with.
I know, right?
Alien starfish, but
well, this is while we're here. This is where we were talking about villains earlier. The villain is the U.S. government that captured Staro and was trying to create a weapon.
Yep. It's Waller. It's
That's what I took away
the
from
US
it.
Government, I think, are the main villains.
I think everyone's a villain.
Yes, yes.
That's the thing, right? Like there's an army of villains to fight the villains controlled by the villains.
Everybody in this movie is a villain. The least one being Ratcatcher.
Yeah.
Just because she moved here and was robbing a bank, and her sentence was a lot more than what it should have been because the rats were considered a weapon.
Yeah.
But she's not inherently evil or villainous like everybody else.
The other one, of course, being Rick Flag.
Yes.
You know,
he's doing his job.
He's doing his job. Polka Dot Man. I didn't get enough of his backstory in this movie to know like why is he in high security prison other than he's powerful.
Because he pictures his mom as other people and kills them. Because it makes him feel better.
Okay. Oh, that's right. He did mention that he has killed before.
So while we're here talking about their mom, the only bit of the CG that I noticed was when he's like, "Staro's your mom," and it's just this giant woman. You're not used to seeing that, so there's just a little bit of uncanny valley that you notice for like a split second.
I gotcha.
And then it was over. So
yeah,
that was the only thing where I went, ah.
Shout out to that actress though too, because she had to pull a little bit of weight with that scene and then the scene where
the club scene and when she's wearing
all the club scene was great too.
Where she's wearing all the different people's outfits.
Yes. Crew outfits. So funny.
I like the King Shark version of his mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we talk about Nanawe a little bit?
Nom.
Voiced by Sylvester Stallone.
Performed by Steve
Sly.
Physically,
yes.
Yes, voiced by Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, correct. They didn't pay Sylvester Stallone to come out and wear a
no.
wireframe shark suit.
No.
For CG reference. I really liked this version of him. The version I love of him most is definitely the Harley Quinn TV show, but this one worked so well for this movie.
And it was so different too.
Yeah.
I think helps a lot.
Yep.
Like they just didn't do the same thing.
Another.
It was good for them to carve out their own.
Another character that I didn't necessarily feel I didn't feel like he felt very villainous, more just an animal. Like
he's just hungry, man.
He's just hungry. I'm not going to call a shark a villain because it takes a bite out of a person. It's an animal. It eats things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely, again, when we were talking about a little earlier, these are villains. Some of them, though, don't feel as villainous. And I think it's fine. I think, like I said, I think the chemistry all works and all the characters work great. But it is just interesting to see how they kind of sprinkle in some of the, a little more empathy but the ability to empathize with those characters later on, so that there is a higher stakes when it comes to are they gonna die?
Dude, I felt so bad for King Shark when he was just sitting in the bus by himself.
I did.
I was like,
he's just bobbing to the
Bobbing to
music.
And then inside Jotunheim when he meets his dumb friends.
new dumb friends.
That said, I didn't realize apparently just how indestructible he is. Because
he's a god, man.
He's a magical shark.
Well, yeah, I know that. I guess.
I feel like
by
it's
the
also
end,
too,
it didn't feel like there were very many stakes with him. Is what I was saying. Everyone else, by the time we got to the third act, okay, like I'm a little worried. But once a building falls on him, I'm not so worried about him anymore.
I feel like it's the kind of the rule that goes into comic books and superhero movies is guns don't hurt indestructible people. It's like the sharp things or like the jellyfish hurt them.
With Staro,
then,
right? Like
yeah.
they're shooting bullets at that giant starfish, but a
the
javelin
goes
can
through.
puncture the eye.
Yeah. I just feel like that's kind of a common thing, and I've just always accepted it.
Yeah.
I just thought when Waller's introducing him, she talks about how he's a descendant of the shark god.
And
so I was like, oh, okay, he's a god.
And they mention a couple times he's the strongest one on your team.
Yeah. So, he's coming. He's the strongest person on your team.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because they're about to kill him.
Yeah.
They're just blasting him
Does
with that sweet
Bloodsport
gun.
always, have nanotech?
I have know nothing about Bloodsport. I know nothing.
Dude, it was awesome.
I don't know
I loved it.
anything about him either.
Xenomorph
His gun stuff is so sick. His guns, like when he's putting his gun together at the end, I was like, yo, this is just incredible.
I thought his helmet, like the Xenomorph looking, looked so cool. I wanted that helmet.
The gold jaw.
Yeah. So freaking
He needed to have that for, I guess he didn't really need it, for when all the starfish were coming down and trying to infect you.
Yeah, he face planted.
Wear a mask, everybody. Protects you from COVID and starfish.
Yeah, there's definitely some of those COVID jokes in there for
What's
sure.
crazy though is that like this was filmed a long time before COVID. I feel like maybe not a long time.
It
before.
started before.
It started before, depending on just how much was rewritten, like during shooting, which a little bit happens. But
yeah,
I would assume that's a pretty natural thing that Staro does. Like,
yeah, he always puts the
that's was always going to be in there. So the mask comment makes sense.
It's just like incredible timing, I guess.
Very, very, very relevant. It's keeps being relevant.
Can we talk about the scene where we lost the character that I was probably the most upset about losing?
Yes.
Yep.
That's gonna probably tee up a larger conversation. But the Peacemaker Rick Flag fight.
So good.
First thing I'll mention, the freaking shot of the camera rotating around the helmet while they were fighting.
Very cool shot.
Was I'll say exciting for trying not to say something inappropriate. It made me very happy. I thought that was super cool. Probably one of my favorite shots in the entire movie. But no, that whole bit of Peacemaker, and again, James Gunn did a really good job of showing us who these characters are. Peacemaker being like, look, I just got to keep the peace, man. It doesn't matter what it is. I have to do it. Even if I agree with you. If it's going to cause unrest, I have to take care of it. And so, like, he just was not going to stop. And I just thought that was super cool. And then Rick Flag being the only true good guy in this story is just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
In his mind. And I just, the ideals, I think, Brett, you kind of said it earlier, they're on the same side of the coin. Or the same side of a different coin or something like that. I can't remember how you phrase it. But
they're both both of them being, and when I said, two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, there you go.
That's they're both in this position of serving the U.S. government, being on this team, but they have opposing views on how to deal with this situation. right?
Mhm.
Right.
They're both.
Thank you for clarifying
Yeah,
that
no,
for me
no.
because I could not say it.
They're both there to do quote unquote the right thing, and the right thing is just different in each of their minds. One is willing to blindly follow orders, and the other one decided, no, I'm not.
Mhm. And yeah, the fight was brutal. Oh, the death was so hard to watch. Just with
Yeah.
the floor tile going straight into his heart, and it like showed his heart.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
I felt like, yeah, that was very intentional. Of like, yes, he
he's
is
dead.
Yeah.
He is dead.
And then,
because it's the only death like it.
personally, favorite line in the whole movie, Peacemaker. What a joke. And he dies. Just like, that's gonna hurt, that's gonna sting with him for a long time. And I think that's gonna be where he starts off in the show, spin-off show.
So we are getting a spin-off show. Do we think that final scene was shot later after they greenlit the show? Probably.
I do.
The after credit scene.
I do.
You think in when the movie was written, when the movie was shot initially, John Cena's character was dead.
Yeah. I think he was, because I mean, James Gunn even said he thought of the idea for Peacemaker while in quarantine.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd love to make this show. And I bet he was like, well, he can just be a tough cookie. He survived it. We can make the show.
I'm falling on him.
I'm totally cool with it, because John Cena was hilarious. He was brutal. He has this crazy ideology that I don't understand, but I just want to watch more of it.
You know what's crazy? I feel like I see a light version of that, sadly, in like way more than I want to admit.
In the real world?
In the real world.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
It's
even
relevant.
to,
It's relevant, is what I'm saying.
like, he even continues that too with like him killing Flag. He continues that into when he's about to shoot Ratcatcher.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm thorough. Like, I have to do this to keep the peace. And he was so good.
We get Idris Elba coming in with another superhero landing.
No joke, I thought Ratcatcher was gonna die right there. I was like,
Me too.
they're gonna do it because this is that type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Idris Elba was just gonna be pissed. He's gonna be like, "Do you seriously just kill her?" And then they're gonna fight, and he's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
I loved what I got though. I loved Ratcatcher. I think she's the best character in the movie, and I'm really glad she survived.
Yep.
It was so funny. Dana asked me who is my favorite, and it took me like a day, but I was like, I think Ratcatcher is my favorite. So I'm glad that you agree with me there.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And she's the heart of the movie.
She is.
That's all what all the articles are saying, and I just like, I'm like, yeah, I agree. Yep.
Yeah, going back to two things I want to add. One, I was really bummed that Rick Flag died. I like Joel Kinnaman a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's really kind of turned this corner as an actor.
He's fantastic in For All Mankind, if you haven't watched that yet.
Yeah. I need to watch it. But, he's,
too.
people are looking for Joel Kinnaman types now. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he really has grown to a star. So he's probably pretty expensive. He's going to get a nice hefty contract for whatever he does next. So good for him. But he did a really good job playing Rick Flag. I could not imagine that role being Tom Hardy, because that's who it was originally casted for.
Oh gosh, no, I can't either.
Yeah, that's
the
weird
other thing I want to add
to think about.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Tom Hardy, but he had he didn't like the script. He didn't feel like his character got enough shine, so he vacated the project.
In 2016,
and they
right?
him in. Yep, the 2016 project. Yep.
Well, I can kind of understand why he thought that. So.
Yep. The other thing I wanted to add, I know Luke is a huge fan of this. I thought this was really cool too. Watching it the second time, I realized it, and I think I recognized it the first time, but I didn't give it as much thought. When good Lord, when Bloodsport meets Peacemaker, they're talking about are you kidding me? We're the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I hit targets dead center. He's like, I hit him more in the center. And he's like, how do you hit something more in the center? And he goes, smaller bullets.
And
then
great.
Bloodsport brings it around, and he's like, how did you do it? And he's like, smaller bullets. And I think Luke just recently was talking about this kind of thing where no, it's In the Heights. We were talking about In the Heights, and we were talking about payoffs. And like this does such a good job of paying
Mhm.
off everything it sets up in the first act. And I just think it's such a huge it's a huge plus for this movie.
Yeah.
Is their ability to set up and pay off things quickly and efficiently, where it doesn't feel like they had to take this giant left turn to get there. And I think they did a good job.
Or set up things that are obvious setups for future projects. Right? That's the other thing that I feel like happens so much in comic book movies these days. Nothing can just be its own little thing, and that's something I think Warner Brothers is doing a better job at. Is saying, okay, like let's not necessarily plan for 20 movies down. Let's just make it so that this movie is enjoyable.
I think kind of off that, I really think that Warner's has just learned so much. Unfortunately, it came at the cost of Zack Snyder and David Ayer.
Yeah.
And the producers have even talked about like, yeah, we messed up, but we're moving forward, and I'm hoping that after, I know like COVID and they're both R-rated and everything's kind of going on, but we loved Birds of Prey. It's a fantastic movie. It's incredibly well made. This was the same. And then you have like stuff coming out with like Joker, Shazam, and everything. Like they're all different, but they're also seems to be more creatively driven by the makers, not the studio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can go in that direction, it'll be okay.
Agreed.
Yep. Now they just need to start making money.
Right.
Yeah. That's the other thing too.
Which I think today's deal, AMC, is a good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Over in the chat, I just wanted to highlight real quick as we wrap up our conversation. Game Lord Master says when we're talking about getting attached to characters, he made a really funny joke. Obviously, now we know that Rick Flag Tyler was the character that you got attached to, but he says, "Did you get attached or detached?" Hashtag TDK.
I was attached to how
it's a good one.
I was attached to how funny and stupid that character is.
Dude, Nathan Fillion and Pete Davidson were cracking me up in their 2 minutes of scenes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff.
He's helping him get the seatbelt on. He's like, "All right, yep, now you're safe."
Did you put him next to a werewolf?
I think the character I got most attached to, thankfully, is okay that I got attached, which we already talked about, was Ratcatcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm super attached because of previous films to Boomer, Rick, and Harley. I lost 2 of them. Now I'm just attached to everybody else that lived in this one, and I can't wait to watch them die, probably.
Yeah.
Yep. Real quick, who do we want to see? Are there any like fringe characters you want to see if they do another Suicide Squad movie?
So
like that are in this, or like characters your question the other day?
Like the question the other day that we had on Twitter, which is, if you could add, a couple or a whole bunch of characters to be on the next Suicide Squad roster. We have maybe some returning ones from this one, whether it be, Bloodsport, Ratcatcher, King Shark.
So I have an interesting addition to this.
Okay.
Because Gunn has talked about this.
Oh, has he already?
And he said, if I do another one, it's not just going to be another team up and do a mission movie.
Okay, well.
However you interpret that, if that changes an answer or anything.
It's going to be them. I wonder if it'll be the original thing they wanted to do.
First,
the Superman thing.
Brainwash Superman.
Yeah.
People have been talking Suicide Squad versus Justice League, which is right there.
As the sequel in like 6 or 8 years.
Yeah. And then, personally, the idea I had was, I know it's still kind of a team going to do something, but you do what they did in this movie, and you have 2 teams going to do something. Eventually, as people eventually get trickled down, 2 things that I would include into it would be, they figure out a way how to disarm the bombs and just hell breaks loose.
That'd be dope.
They do that in the animated movie, and it's insane. It's awesome. It's also really sad because King Shark's skin is too thick, so the electricity to knock it out doesn't work, so his head just blows off.
Oh no.
It's
That's Assault, isn't it?
Assault on Arkham. It's really good. You should check it out. The other thing that I think would be really cool, kind of as a gag, is to include a hero in it.
Oh.
And not Batman, not Superman, not Wonder Woman, not Flash. Either have it be a Bat sidekick or maybe like Shazam. So it's like a 14-year-old kid going against the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'd love to like maybe like we just got Batgirl casted. They're in Gotham. She shows up and she just wipes the floor with them, and they barely escape before Waller's like, "If you don't get out of here, I'm gonna blow your head off." And I'd love something like that. I think that'd be a cool addition. But it probably won't be that because it's not gonna be a normal movie. So.
I responded to the Instagram question.
Yes. Do you want me to read that off, or did you remember?
I think just if I forget any of the names, remind me.
Okay.
So my goofy answer was Condiment King. I think it'd be hilarious if somehow James Gunn could put him in the movie, just like he did with Polka Dot Man. I think he could make it work somehow. The other characters I think I mentioned, Count Vertigo is a pretty popular Suicide Squad member. I think that'd be really interesting, just because I'd be curious to see how they would do his powers. Bronze Tiger, I feel like, is probably a must at this point. Like, I feel like you kind of have to do him in your next one. And then I don't know if I did I have another one?
No, those were the three you mentioned.
Okay. If I could add an extra one in, and they'll never do this. Black Spider. But they'll never go that route. It would be too much of a thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
When I answered on Twitter, my
I just want a live action Assault on Arkham movie, dude. Gosh, that'd be so good.
You should really check it out. It's really good.
But here's what I would want. I would want them to market it as a Suicide Squad movie.
Don't even say if Batman.
And don't say it. Don't say it at all.
Don't say.
I think that would
whatever
be
hero
so
would be in it.
sick.
Yep.
That would be so sick.
Just all of a sudden they're like, what?
Let's start writing,
dude.
The answer I put on to Twitter or Instagram, I don't remember what I put it on. I said Kite Man. It's no reason to be in the Suicide Squad, whatever. It's just a dude who rides a kite and somehow is a villain. He'd be one of the people dying on the beach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what you need. You need some fodder, right?
I think
Condiment King, man.
Somehow get him to survive, where he's just like this annoyingly lucky person.
Yeah,
maybe it would be fun. I don't want to like rain on your parade, Tyler, because I too would have said Condiment King.
Mm-hmm.
But I did watch an interview today where somebody asked James Gunn, they're like, "Would you ever put Condiment King in?" And he was like, "No." And he's like, "The reason I picked Polka Dot Man is because he was a serious addition to the comics. Like, he had backstory and all this stuff, and he wanted to be a superhero. Whereas Condiment King, where he's created, he was actually created as a joke. And so, like, that's one of the reasons to went into picking Polka Dot Man, plus him being absolutely ridiculous."
Fine, I'll revise it, because I'm glad you mentioned that. Then it's Catman.
Okay, yeah. I want a Catman versus Batman fight.
Yes, Catman versus Batgirl.
Yeah,
that's the Batgirl movie.
Perfect.
That's the Batgirl movie.
It's awesome. My answer on Twitter was Clayface, specifically Clayface from the Harley Quinn show, because he is hilarious. And
just have Alan Tudyk play.
Yeah, like in the Harley Quinn show, he's almost unkillable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
he'd be your King Shark.
He would be the one to just kind of just get through, and he's got that.
I would love if they put him in it. If the whole time like he's doing all this stuff, then he like gets captured, and Waller like blows his head, and then he just doesn't die.
Yeah,
he's like, "Are you serious? Like, I could have just left.
Yeah.
And then maybe, like, the explosion happens, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yep. Okay, we're running late.
That's what happens when you
boy.
make a really good movie.
We really like
We
this
run
movie,
late.
clearly. I don't think we have anything else to say. Do you have any final thoughts?
Go see it.
If somehow you've
I,
listened to this and you haven't seen it.
My final thought for this would be I really appreciated the third act. It's just taken a little more seriously, I felt like.
It's interesting because it still was a third act where insert character or team fights
Big
giant
thing.
CGI monster, but it worked way better than so many others.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that secret sauce is, can't figure it out off the top of my head.
Good writing, I
Good
guess.
writing, good characters you care about.
Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about Polka Dot Man's death.
Oh yeah, R.I.P.
I was sad. It was also kind of telegraphed.
Super.
But gosh, it still hurt to watch him just get crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he definitely could have killed Staro by himself if you don't kill him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. As soon as you're realizing that he can like disintegrate him, it's like, it's time for him to go.
And I guess, man, we're running so late, but we didn't talk about Idris very much, who plays Milton. No. Yeah, he's Bloodsport. Milton was hilarious.
Milton.
I loved that joke, and I also loved Sebastian.
Yes.
Sebastian was
the little high fives. Oh, is that rat waving to me?
maybe probably one of my favorite characters as well. Just the rat, who was real. It was a real rat.
Dude, it's crazy that we didn't talk about Idris. I kind of feel like we've committed a crime.
Well, let's just talk about him real quick.
Because
why not?
We're going even longer.
He's absolutely stellar in this. Like, he's so good. And literally, like, as soon as he gets on the screen and starts talking, Dana leans over. She's like, he gets to keep his accent. I'm like, apparently so. And man, he was so good. The scene when he sees his daughter is just, it's a very heavy scene, but it's also really funny. It's just done so incredibly well.
Luke, you have a thought?
Yes.
I loved that scene because every time you ever get a prison glass scene, it's always this. I miss you. I love you. No, they just scream F-bombs at each other. I just had never seen it before. Yeah. And I really liked that.
It's a good change of pace.
Yeah.
Also, she was good too.
It was awesome.
And yeah, I hope Idris comes back and they do it again.
I loved how Ratcatcher kind of became a surrogate daughter for Idris, and in a way, he could really get.
Kind of made him realize he had a reason to get through it.
Exactly. There was this. He did it because of his daughter. Even after he yelled at his daughter. He wants her. He thinks, and I think in his mind, he's like, I gotta make her stronger. But like ultimately, like I don't really care about her, but I do. And there's this back and forth, I think, in his mind as a character. And then as they go on this journey with Ratcatcher, he does come around to this idea of like, oh no, like I can be a father. Mm-hmm. Oh, and we mentioned, this goes back to the, some characters still kind of do the wrong, quote unquote, wrong thing. He doesn't give the hard drive. He's not honorable in his victory. He doesn't give the hard drive to the press. He keeps it for himself to negotiate out of prison.
Yep.
That's great.
He was also
great character choice. Mm-hmm. It worked.
He's also the character I was talking about earlier, where when all the people with the starfish, like when Staro has his starfish all over them, he like kind of pauses. He's trying to avoid killing all those people, and then he just is like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna kill these fools. And so he just starts unloading on all of them. But there's like a second where you kind of he does a really good job of emoting it, but you can kind of see it like in his face, like, I shouldn't do this. This isn't the right thing. But then he's like, nah, this is kind of just who I am. I'm gonna kill these people. And that was one of the scenes I think really stood out. It's a really small, like 6-second thing, but it works really well.
Yep.